was waiting for more music. Hi, everybody. Welcome to summer. It's really good to see you here today. I'm Rachel and I'm your coach for this call. Before we get stuck in, I would like to remind you about the housekeeping. So please, if at all possible, have your cameras on. Nobody cares about bad hair days or if you haven't painted your face yet or anything. So if you can, please put your camera on. And also, please have your name showing so that we can see who you are properly. And also, please don't put your hand up or ask questions if you're driving. If you're in a car, please make sure you pull over and then raise your hand and ask the question. And I see two people already demonstrating. So if you have questions, please raise your hands. So summer's here. How's everybody feeling about summer? Excited? Not so sure? Oh, a mixture. So, yes, summer. As you saw in the videos from Eric, you have a choice. If you have not done the program before, then we ask you please to definitely go into summer so that you can experience going into and out of summer with the group. If you have done the program before, then it's your choice. You can choose to practice coming out of spring and going into summer and going back again, or you can stay in spring. The choice is entirely yours. So I would like to see in the chat, please, could you put a 1 in the chat if you're staying in spring and a 2 if you decided to come into summer, if you've not done it before. Or lots of 2s, that's good. Lots of people practicing. Lovely, lovely. And some people staying in spring. That's very good. Oh, somebody's saying Hunter Spring, dedicated. Brilliant. What I would also like you to do with the chat today, please, is when you hear something that somebody's saying that really resonates with you, please will you comment on it in the chat, whether it's repeating the phrase or how it hits you, because that will help you remember the point, but it'll also help emphasize the point for other people that might have missed it. So if something really resonates, please add that in the chat as well today. So summer. Summer is a wonderful time. Summer is super exciting because if you look at your plate, there's different colors, there's different flavors, there's different textures. And for some people, it's a long time looking at green. And for some people, it's a long time looking just at meat and fish. So when you're in summer, you have all those different colors and textures. It's important in summer not to feel guilty about eating all these wonderful vegetables, etc., that you're going to experience in summer. There can be a tendency when you've been in spring, and you've been really settled into spring and you're feeling fantastic, the idea of coming out and eating those other vegetables can feel a little bit scary. You can feel a little bit of guilt about it. Please remember what we're asking you to eat is really healthy, nutritious food. We're not saying to you, go off and get a Snickers or eat a pizza or, I don't know, drink a beer. We're saying have some root vegetables and then moving into some berries later in the week. So that's my main tip for summer is enjoy it. You've got a week of it. Really enjoy it, really experience it. Pay attention to how your body reacts to it, how those foods really taste and feel. My personal tip, float frozen blueberries. The best thing ever. Who needs ice cream if you can have frozen blueberries as you come into summer? Anyway, so who wants to go first with a check-in? Sharing your wins, please, and any questions you may have or challenges you've experienced.
We're going to start today with Vladimir.
Hi, Vladimir.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
You got me now. Okay. Nice to meet you, Rachel.
Lovely to see you.
Okay. Rachel, I have kind of a technical question regarding the minimum amount of time that we should stay on spring to activate fat burning and about metabolic flexibility. This is one of my big points now that I'm doing again Wild Fit. I think it is a better way for us to nourish ourselves, and the understanding about the seasons is really great. But for how long minimum should one stay on spring to have its effect, and how many times you think we should go in and out of spring, summer or fall, in order to have this metabolic flexibility? Because I remember once Eric said that he can turn into fat burning mode very easily now that he has done it so many times. So since it is one of my main goals, how should we proceed regarding those subjects?
Excellent question. The minimum time I would suggest being in spring is 2 weeks, absolute minimum, because you've got the first week when your gut biome's adjusting, you're dealing with the cravings, you're settling into it, and by the end of the week, you'll be finding the rhythm, you'll be setting in, and you'll be starting to experience the benefits. Add another week on there, then you've got a really good, clear week of experiencing the benefits. So I would suggest that's the minimum.
Okay.
Ideally, we're going to spend the majority of our time in spring and be bouncing in and out of the other seasons as we go. That said, if you're wanting to improve the flexibility, then the more you move backwards and forwards, the better your body's going to get at it and the more experienced it's going to get. So it's a case of experimenting what works for you. How comfortable do you feel? Do you feel really good for 5 weeks in spring and then come out into summer for a week? Or would you rather do 2 weeks than a couple of days? It's a lot of experimenting from person to person.
It's very personal, you mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Because I consider myself as having a very high carbohydrate sensitivity, you know? Anything can shoot my insulin. So, you know, that signal for you to store fat and things like that. So I think
there are so many things that play into that. So if your stress levels are high, you're going to be more sensitive. If you're have a difference on it, but as you say, it's different for different people. So for example, I can eat quite a lot of chickpeas, and as I'm coming out and nothing happens. My husband has 2 chickpeas and he's out of spring. It's done. So it's really different from person to person.
I must be like him. But you train? No, 2 weeks from 2 weeks. Okay. That is nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I will just stress about the chickpeas. I'm vegetarian, so that's why I'm eating more of them. Who have we got next?
All right, we're going to go to Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, Rachel. Lovely to meet you. So I have 2 questions, basically. One of them is regarding Hunter Spring. I was 6 weeks in Hunters, and I have been doing BioFit for 5 years. It was my first time going into Hunters. In other words, it was my first time in my entire life not having vegetables. So I felt like kind of a very light stomach flu when I was moving into only meat. And then now that after 6 weeks, I am moving into summer, I am gently reintroducing 1 vegetable per day. And then this is my 3rd day, and I am experiencing that kind of very slightly stomach flu again. Is this normal? Is this because of the microbiome, or what is this?
It can be very, very normal. When you're moving, especially when you're going to Hunter Spring and you're taking all of the vegetables out, that's a big shift for your microbiome to adjust to it. And as you're adding things back in, you're making the shift backwards. Also, going from Hunter Spring into another spring, Hunter Spring is like a hardcore elimination diet.
Right.
So as you come out of Hunter Spring, your body will very clearly signal to you if you've eaten something that it doesn't like. So it's really important, and coming out of normal spring as well, but very much more so in Hunter Spring.
Yeah.
So if you really pay attention, some vegetables you're going to be like, oh, great, that's great, and others not so sure about.
Okay. And
I would just like to ask you, Helen, though, you didn't start with the win.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have a lot of wins, so I feel great, and I let go of 5 kilogram excess weight. I have a lot of energy. I sleep like a baby. My skin is shining. I'm happy. I'm always happy. But yeah, lots of wins. I love it. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be on it for 5 years, you know. So no, but good point. And I have another question, and it's regarding Hunters. As it was my first experience, I also felt it like it was the most effective, I would say. And I am usually in fat burning on my 3rd day already. It does not matter whether it's Hunters or traditional spring. I am on, yeah. But my question is, how long is it safe or healthy to continue eating only meat? Like, I learned that for your kidneys, that's not the best, let's say. And I was just wondering, what should be the duration? Like, how many weeks in between do we need to give our kidneys or whatever organ some rest before we move into Hunter Spring again?
To answer that question, because I can see him, I'm going to ask Stu if he can jump on and answer the question. My main focus is gatherer spring and vegetarian, so I can't confidently answer that question for you.
Thank
Stu is
you.
one of our resident hunter experts. So Stu, are you able to help with that?
I am. So I guess it's different for everybody, and there's this misconception that meat is long-term can be bad for you. What I will say, and it's kind of a generic answer because it's really about the human evolution. We never were intended to eat the same thing all the time. Variety is a really, I mean, it's one of the key hungers. So my suggestion is, so like me, I think the longest I've gone in hunter spring is 6 weeks. But I also eat tip to tail. So I'm eating organ meats as well. So the thing about it is, if you're not eating organ meats, the longer you stay in it, the more deficient you're going to be in like vitamin C and a couple things like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you know, and for those people that eat organ meats and they want to stay into it, they can. You know, you can stay in it as long as you want. But we really, as a human being, we're supposed to switch in and out of seasons. Our body needs that metabolic flexibility. I mean, we have to be able to shed fat. We have to be able to put fat on. That's where a lot of the toxins are stored. So I would never suggest to any one of my clients or anyone really to stay in longer than 6 weeks. But if you feel good doing it and you need some more time in spring, then it's okay. Just come out once in a while. That's the biggest answer I can.
Okay, thank you. Clear, that helps.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Stu.
You're welcome.
Putting you on the spot there. Who have we got next?
We have Andra. Let's go to you.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi from Estonia. I was in Hunter Spring, and when last week I started to feel that I need something. When I see in the shop cucumber, I was thinking, oh my God, I just want to eat cucumber and apples. Just the two of them. And when Eric told that we can eat this week, go to summer, I was yes. And today I eat 2 mouthful apple, only 2 mouth, not full apple, and cucumber and paprika, and this was so good. But it was interesting when I ate apple, my taste was so good. I tasted like so different taste, just one bite for apple. This was so interesting.
It's like heaven, isn't it?
Yes, I didn't need to eat full apple. But I have really good feeling. I have already lost 16 kilograms. And I sleep well, I'm walking, I have energy, everything. But yes, my brain started to think, oh, I'd like to eat something sweet, like some cake. I don't think this cake is this bad cake. Something I do myself with nuts and carrots and something like that. And I wanted to ask if in summer I taste something, is this bad when I want to go back in spring, or just in summer only low carb fruits and vegetables eat?
Okay, so first of all, I have a question for you. Before you did wildfire, is this your first time?
This is my second time, but I give it to this time 100%.
So before you did WildFit, what were the main foods that you would crave?
All
chocolates, crisps, cakes?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yes.
Did you
But
ever think
now-
there would be a day when you were craving cucumber?
No.
Isn't it amazing how the mind shifts,
Yes,
how the focus
yes.
shifts? That's fantastic. Did the thought start up about the cake after you'd eaten the apple?
No, the thoughts start in Hunter Spring last week. I have been Hunter Spring 3 weeks already, and then I like to look some recipes in web, and then my brain started to work. Oh, I'd like to make something healthy, and so
You're
I
torturing
started
yourself looking at the recipes.
it started carving. So I it was difficult, and now I think if I want to go back in spring, is this difficult if I eat more carbs or how? It's
This is
individual.
exactly why. Yeah, this is exactly why we have this week of going into summer and back into spring while you're within the group, so you can practice doing that. It's very normal to start to think about those things when you're starting to crave that variety and different flavors and different textures. What I would really recommend when you're in summer is stick to the summer foods, the fruits and vegetables that are in season in summer, and really focus on those. Which ones do you like even more now, like when you tasted the apple? Which ones are like, not so sure. You might even find that there's vegetables you didn't like before that you do now, having been in Hunter for that period of time and having that break. Really pay attention to how much you can enjoy those flavors rather than steering off piste and going towards things that will be in fall or perhaps not even within fall. The further that you go from spring, the further you have to go back.
Okay.
So as much as we want you to experiment with things, it's experimenting with things that are in summer.
And second question is, I can go back to Hunter Spring or I can go back to traditional spring after summer?
I would say it's your choice. I would say though, if you're going back into Hunter Spring, when you've been in, if you're doing summer properly, if you're playing full out in summer, it's a big leap to go back to Hunter Spring.
Okay.
And you may choose to only stay in spring for a week. So it might be better to practice going into traditional spring for this next week.
Okay.
When you go back.
Okay.
If you're used to it, if you're good at going backwards and forwards, it's not such a stretch. But if you're not necessarily that comfortable at going it backwards and forwards, it might be best to practice traditional spring.
Okay. Thank you.
Brilliant. And well done with all the wins you've got so far.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, Tanny Ray, you are up.
Hi, Tanny Ray. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is my 4th time doing WildFit. And in those last 2 years, I've just been getting better and better. And this is the first time I did Hunter Spring, and that was eye-opening. And a few wins from that. I did drop 5 pounds during Hunter Spring. Released them. I dropped them too.
I like the voice from the side.
But I picked them back. I picked them back up over the weekend, probably from the handful of nuts I went nuts on. But I guess that's normal to, have an empty stomach and then get them back again. A couple things. I've never done Hunter Spring before. That was really eye-opening. It's completely changed my idea of what I need to eat. I used to think I had to have something sweet after a meal because my blood sugar had dropped so low. And, with Hunter Spring, you're just satiated, right? And the other huge surprise with that is, I've eaten really healthy all my life, basically. I have had a sugar cravings, which I've now realized I was a bit of a sugar craver because I did the psychological exercises this time. Oh, am I being played off?
I'm not quite sure what that signifies.
I'm being played off. They're taking me off the stage.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, I did have sugar cravings, which I hadn't recognized until this time doing the psychological bit of it. But one huge surprise is the last couple years ago when I was doing WildFit, I ate the shakes for about a year. I just stayed on the green shakes and only using spinach. And I gave myself a 1/2-inch size kidney stone, which was fun, required surgery. So don't just use spinach. In fact, kind of use other greens when you're doing your shakes. So I was not going to do that this time around. So I really went, let's go Hunter Spring. No more shakes, no more spinach. And then I'm reading this book called Toxic Superfoods. And it talks about how the oxalates, how bad you can get oxalate overload. And that's in almonds and in spinach. And of course, I was eating tons of almond butter along with my spinach when I was doing those shakes. And one of the symptoms they said can be a knot in the top of your shoulder. I have been fighting a knot in the top of my shoulder for 20 years, going to physical therapy, going to chiropractors. After Hunter Spring, this is really weird. It's way diminished. It's like 10% of what it used to be. And now I just stumbled on that. I didn't realize that all that spinach was, not only causing me kidney stones, but I was having like this other symptom. So I'm praying that will stay. And so I'm thinking I might rely more on meats than I have in the past because I'm kind of a vegetarian wannabe and I never ate a lot of meats. But now I'm super spoiled by meat because if we're going to go on meat, we're going on the highest quality. We're eating filet mignon and scallops and salmon. In fact, we went to a barbecue yesterday. They served salmon. I could only eat half of the amount they gave me because my stomach is just different. It was like, oh, I'm done. And then I tried to eat the hamburger and it was just disgusting. It was like cardboard. And I'm like, just a minute, I need like a filet mignon burger. This is just not, this isn't worth eating. And so instead of still eating it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not interested. So my ability to just not eat stuff just because it's there, it's just completely changed. I just eat a little bit and I'm done and I'm like, oh, I'm happy. So that whole thing has changed. What I'm concerned about the it's like don't eat too many grains and don't eat too many vegetables. Stu gave a really great reason about all that, but I went to talk to my doctor into giving me blood work. And he said, why would I give you blood work? Your blood work is perfect. It's always been, you've never had high anything. So I can't think of a reason to give you blood work. But anyway, I talked him into it. And now I don't think he'll hesitate to do it again because it came back. My cholesterol, the HDL and LDL are just off the charts high. And I've never had high anything before in my life. And so I was just a little bit shocked about how incredibly high that was when I came off Hunter Spring. And I know you guys say that, that fluctuates, but that was just a little bit shocking. I know my doctor's going to have a cow when he gets a hold of me. So I guess that's my concern is now I'm afraid to eat anything. It's like, if I don't want to start eating greens again because I don't want to get my shoulder thing back, and I don't want to keep eating meat because I don't want to keep my cholesterol high. So, help.
I love the way that you hear it, and you've had all the conversations about cholesterol, but you don't want to hear it. What I would ask you to do is to wait until at least 3 months after the program, and then have it tested again, and see what's settled down, what's moved through, what's changed, and just don't panic about it. Really listen to all the conversations that have been said and everything that Eric's talked about and the other coaches have talked about. Do not panic and wait to do it after 3 months. And if the doctor is panicking, say, okay, fine, I'll come back in 3 months and do it again then.
I think what really threw me off is Eric said you could actually stay in Hunter Spring forever and that we really don't need other things. And I'm just going,
did he really?
He said you really just stay in Hunter Spring. And I'm like, how on earth could I possibly do that? Did I miss?
No, he doesn't. He recommends that you come out. He doesn't recommend that you stay permanently in Hunter Spring. You can stay in Hunter Spring for a good amount of time, but he doesn't recommend that you stay permanently. It is good for you to come out. And in terms of feeling frightened of other foods, I can understand that. It's quite natural to feel that when you're eating one way and you feel so many great benefits, why would you want to change it? But you've had this big break in Hunter Spring. You've given your body that real chance to rest from it and have a break from all of the anti-nutrients that are in the plants. And so as you come out into summer, do it gently. Maybe don't start with spinach if you know spinach is possibly a questionable one for you. Start gently and just do one at a time and see how that vegetable feels. What's the reaction? What does your body tell you about it? Because it will be very clear if it likes or if it doesn't like it. And just go gently. Don't be frightened of it. All of this food got you this far in life. So it's not all bad. It's just finding the right combinations and the right ones that work for you at this time.
Great. Well, thank you. And thank you for turning me on to the best cuts of meats in the world. And
I
and
have one more question before you go though.
getting rid of this. Oh, that's just been insane.
Why did you stand on the scales?
Because I was having so much fun watching it go down, because it went, 20 pounds. And I was just like out of my mind. And when I first did spring, I got down to 152 pounds. And right now I'm at 163. So when I hit 157 and from the fast, I was thinking, oh, I'm almost back to where I started my first Wild Fit program. And then 5 came back on. And so maybe I should just not get on again. Is that what your
What was
advice?
your reaction when you saw that number, when you stood on it, it was 5 up?
What was my reaction?
Yeah, how did you feel when you saw that?
Oh dear. Damn.
And did that reaction take away from how great you've been feeling and the food freedom you've been experiencing and how wonderful it is that the knot in your shoulders going? Your focus moves on to that 5 pounds, doesn't it?
It sure did.
Why kill your joy?
Okay, Mom. I'll
Put the
start
scales
with
away.
you.
Thank you
You're
so much.
fantastic. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. My
Okay,
cheeks are hurting from smiling so much with all the wins.
we're gonna go to Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Sorry, I'm on my phone and it doesn't want to cooperate. Hi. Win, I'm excited to say I've released 13 pounds. Mostly actually in the last couple of weeks because I sort of held on to the wine at night, and I realized, because I started testing like my fat loss and my ketones, how much that actually was hindering my progress. So stop that.
Only that.
And I did the fast. So I'm in Hunter Spring. I did Hunter Spring and I did the fast for 3 days. And the second day I started adding in a little bit of like watered down bone broth. So I was like kind of struggling to get through. The day that I added food back in, so like on the 5th day of that cycle, the 4th day I had some broth and a little bit of meat. And then the next day I just had some crazy painful cramping and like pretty explosive bathroom experiences and a lot more than I expected. So I'm thinking maybe there was just like impacted or old stuff that like cleared out, but I wondered what you guys think. And I also had a lot of acid reflux. And that's been happening kind of throughout, but it got worse when I did the fast and really itchy skin. So I kind of feel like I need to keep going with the fasting. But I wanted to ask you about that, and then also where you stand on using like apple cider vinegar for balancing like the GERD kind of feeling or colonics. So that's one question. And then I had a second question about just the food lists and knowing like what's in spring, what's in summer, etc. Okay.
What do you mean by keeping going with the fasting? What does that mean to you?
So really, like how often, I think in one of the videos, Eric mentioned that he does it like every month or every quarter. I used to do more like cleanses, like more juice cleansing, which I actually prefer the water fasting now that I've experienced that again. It's been a very long time. But like once a month for a period of time for a few days, or intermittent like alternate day or something, like I just feel like there's a lot more clearing that I could benefit from.
For the moment, is this your first time through the program?
I did it once 3 years ago, but I didn't actually make it this far. So yes, I would say it's the first time.
For the moment, I would ask you to carry on following the program through to the end and not fast again until we've got to the end of the program. Once you're living well fit at the end of it, then fasting is a fantastic thing to be doing, and to be doing it regularly. And whether it's 18 hours, 24 hours, 3 days. Experiment with what feels good for you, what days is good for you, what length of it, and drop them in and move them around at different times. If you're still menstruating, then at different times of the month, it will be easier to fast than other times. So if you're not, then
don't worry about it there. Yeah. Yeah.
then if you're not, then it's a case of finding what's that rhythm for you. When does it fit in for you in your lifestyle? And it is an extremely good thing to be doing for your health. But for the moment, hang fire and wait and see through the rest of the program. So really practice moving into summer now and back into spring next week.
Okay. And then on the question about like just the acid reflux and what do you recommend? Or does that just go away eventually?
I don't have experience with acid reflux other than some clients that have had it, and they actually found Hunter Spring was very effective. So I'm afraid I don't have an answer for that. I would suggest maybe if you're coming into summer, yeah, I would come into summer very gently, as I've said to you guys, and really, really pay attention, because there are likely to be some vegetables or some fruits that will trigger it. And as you're coming out of Hunter now, again, that will be very, very clear for you. But in terms of acid reflux in Hunter, I don't know. Again, I'm going to turn to Stu, whether he's got experience of that with the groups. He's like, sorry, what?
I was typing a message. So when I go from a fast into spring, I usually do like 2 to 3. If I'm not going to stay in Hunter Spring and do a traditional, I'll still usually do 2 to 3 days of a Hunter Spring. But that's my favorite season. I think I have the best results from that. But I'll start off slow, absolutely slow, bone broth and a few eggs. If I feel like it later on that evening, I might have a small steak and then start adding in a little bit more. And then by the time I get to day 3, then it's anything in spring will go, you know, any kind of vegetables or anything like that. So
And
it's
do you have
really
experience with people with acid reflux in Hunter Spring?
I have
the
not
whole time, the whole program I've had it.
Oh, the whole program?
Yeah.
Well,
so that's my question. Like apple cider vinegar, is that something like that's okay on the program? Or
I'm not a firm believer of apple cider vinegar. Some people have luck with it. What I guess the way I look at it, I had one of the reasons why I started WildFit back in 2017 was I was on medications for acid reflux. And I also found out that I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So spinach or any kind of greens with oxalates, eggs, pork, stuff like that, I cut out for a little while. And I think that probably helped it. But when I went into Hunter Spring, I never experienced acid reflux. My acid reflux, I would say by 2/3 of the way through spring, the first time through, reduced. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody because everybody's different. It depends on what kind of condition your body is in when you get to that point. But if you have acid reflux and you're still having it, you know, be a little bit milder on some of the oxalates, I think, to try and see if that helps. If you want, what I tell people when they want to try apple cider vinegar is you're not giving your body a chance to recover. If you want to do it very, very seldom, maybe, but I would recommend just trying to go the rest of the program and see how you feel by the end of the program. Switching in and out of seasons may very well help that acid reflux. That's what it did for me. So
yeah, I didn't actually have it before. It's so I'm wondering if it's like actually just part of like a toxin release also, but
I'd be willing to bet that's what it is. Your body's just adjusting. It's no different than, you know, our gut biome. Every time we switch season or we eat something different, our gut biome has to readjust. And I can tell you from my experience with fasting, every time I come out of a fast, I have to be careful with my bone broth and make sure it's not loaded with fat because it will give me explosive experiences too. Not all the time, but if I'm not careful, it's that high fat content that does it, and it's cleaning out the system. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Whether you like the experience or not, I think it's a good thing. It's no different than if you're going in for a colonoscopy. It's same thing's going to happen when you clean out the system.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, and I know a lot of people are asking about this in the chats too, but are there food lists for the seasons that could be or are available somewhere?
I believe there are. I'm not sure where they are in the system at the moment. If you ask, are you in the heartbeat group?
I don't know how to get into a group. So I've asked that in the discussion as well. So, but no.
And it's a very, very, very quick précis. When you're in spring, traditional spring, you're eating meat, fish, and eggs, and non-sweet green vegetables. So if something tastes sweet to you, don't eat it. When you're in summer, you're eating all of those plus root vegetables and the lower sugar fruits. And when you're in fall, you're adding in all of the fruits and the natural sweetness. So that's a very quick précis for you. There
Okay,
are guidelines
thank
from it.
you.
If you can't find them, if you contact support, that's support@getwildfit.com, they'll be able to point you in the right direction for it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay, let's go to Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Mute. Hello, fellow Wildfitters. Awesome to see you. So there's too many wins to list. I could go on for hours. I just finished my, it's really a 4-day fast, you guys. Let's face it. I'm going to take that extra day. And a huge shout out to Pamela, my coach, who was just holding my hand through the whole time because it was freaking hard. I think it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I came to a place where there was no food. I couldn't smell anything, but I don't know. I dreamt about food. I didn't have cravings, but I was just always hungry and I didn't get that surge of amazing energy. So I obsessively, because I had so much time, looked for, research what to do, how to break it. I think my thyroid's been an issue. It has my whole life. I just meditate away, but this time I think it really was challenged with my adrenals based on what the information I find. So my question is, if today's breaking my fast and I'm so excited to get into summer, I got a sweet potato ready to go. Everything out here in Google land says, don't do that. Stick in spring for us. Does that mean I have to stay in there for a couple of days? I'm just so excited to go into summer. What should I do?
Is this your first time through the program?
No, but I didn't
done
fast
before.
last time.
Right. I would suggest, and you've got Pamela to support you, go very, very gently into spring and see how you feel as you go through the next few days. You may not make it all the way into summer before we're going back into spring again. But trust me, after fasting and spring for so long, the summer vegetables and fruits, they're going to blow your mind. You won't care about the rest of it. You know, as you're going through,
I'm not
through
craving
the spring
anything,
vegetables.
but the taste of it I miss. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but you
the
think if in
variety of,
traditional spring, if you're in mild spring, you've got things like tomatoes and courgettes and
Okay.
squashes. Those things are incredible when
all
you haven't had them
right.
for a while. So
So
aim
You
for
don't
those
recommend
first.
vegetables then, or
At the end of the week, wait and see how you go.
okay, so stay in. Okay, so I was in Hunter Spring, and I'm hearing from the last one you talked to about this. Go to regular spring now, or
Because you've done it, because you're coming straight out of a fast.
right?
If you're going, you can go from Hunter sort of gently over through to summer, but you're coming out of the fast. And kudos for doing the fast, by the way. Well done with that. If it wasn't your favorite experience, congratulations. But yeah, just go gently out and see how you go. And Pamela will be very able to support you
She's
through.
the best. You guys, she
She's
is
amazing.
the best.
Yeah. So just go gently, celebrate what you've achieved for that fast. Amazing. And go gently. And trust me, those vegetables are going to be amazing.
I don't know. I got that sweet
Oh, no, they
potato.
will.
I'll fight you on it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Christine. Do we have any other questions? Any other wins people want to share? Any celebrations? Any things you don't understand? You're like, I don't get that. Okay, so then I have a favor to ask from anybody who's been through WildFit a few times. And the first time through, when they did WildFit, spring was like hell on earth for you. You never enjoyed it. You struggled all the way through. You never really felt great. And you had everybody around you feeling amazing. But since then, you've been going in and out and in and out, and you're really enjoying spring now, and it's much easier. Is there somebody or more than one person here that would like to share that experience to show that it does get better? That Eric is right when he says it gets easier and easier each time you do it? Or have you all loved spring right from the start? Stephanie, are you able to put your camera on? Ah, there you go. Stephanie.
Hi everyone. I didn't quite have that experience, but it's like I think something to share. And I think the first time I did it was 2017 or 2018, something like a long time ago. And it was okay, but I actually realized I lost a lot more weight after the challenge than during. And there was times after the challenge, I was like, oh, I'm not being like as good. But then I would weigh myself, I'm like, oh, actually, I'm losing more weight. So I think just not having the stress and it not being as deep in spring works much better for me. And the challenge was still, amazing to go through that. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that it actually was even better after the challenge.
That's a really good point. It's easy to think, oh, everything's got to happen within the 3 months of the challenge. When it doesn't, it carries on. I had a client who released, he was around 15 pounds during the challenge, and by 6 months after, she was down 75 pounds. So the vast majority of the change in her health was achieved after she'd done the program. So thank you for sharing that, Stephanie.
Yeah, and I'm doing Hunter Spring. This is my favorite version so far. It's like amazing. So yes, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, we have Heidi.
Heidi.
There. Sorry, too many buttons. Hope everyone's doing good. I wanted to say the same thing. I lost her name. It's not on there anymore. I love spring the first time I went through it, and I was able to fast back then. And now, unfortunately, it's very easy for me to slip in and out. I don't get the headaches or anything, but that kind of causes problems because if you decide to experiment, you end up, knowing that you can just fall back in and with no consequences. So I did want to warn about that. But overall, I started one last Sunday evening, and it actually went to Tuesday night. I wanted to go to Wednesday, but it was my husband's birthday and he wanted to go out to eat. And so I was like, okay. So, but otherwise, I think I dropped or released like wasn't much. It was about 4.5 pounds in that time frame. So that was good. And I bought a new scale that measures all the different things just because I want to be able to keep track. Plus I do body scans every so often, just to I want to just stay on top of this. But one of the questions I had was, you all were talking about oxalates and spinach and stuff. And I really have always not liked the taste of raw spinach, but if you cook it, isn't that supposed to be better for you? And it doesn't have the same problems.
I can't answer that question. I don't know the difference between when you cook it or not. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
I know it does vary for some vegetables, but I don't know off the top of my head which ones is which.
Okay.
The main thing is to make sure that you're paying attention to which ones feel comfortable for you to eat and that you're varying them. The other thing I just want to say, you said only 4.5 pounds or just 4.5 pounds?
Well, so far.
Have you picked up like 4.5 pounds in sugar or 4.5 pounds in cans of beans or something?
Yeah. Actually,
pick them up, put them in a bag and carry it on your bag here. Keep your arm out like this with a bag with that weight on it and see how that feels. 4.5 pounds is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's worth celebrating.
Yeah, I just need to stay on top of it. So
it's really tough, isn't it, when you hear other people coming out with really large numbers?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, mine's only 4.5.
And I'm very happy for them. I'm not jealous or upset or anything.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited. I'm just waiting for it to be me. So, but
focus on your journey.
Yeah.
Focus on what's going on with you. And for your body, it may be that releasing 4.5 pounds is a fantastic achievement. We don't know what else is going on. Are you building muscle? Is the water content changing? Are you healing from something? Are you fighting a virus? Who knows what's going on within your body? But it has agreed to release 4.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Yes.
Do you ever do a happy dance to celebrate? I'm a big fan of the happy dance.
I don't dance very well, so but I'll clap for me.
Yes, clap. So clap yourself. So if you're seeing that change, whether it's a change in the centimeters on your waist or clothes are feeling better, break out your cheering, clapping, whooping, dancing, whatever it is, celebrate it, because it's your journey and it's you that's changing. Your body is healing and recovering. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. Really doesn't. It's fantastic for everybody, but your journey is equally fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I
So
intend-
yay for the 4.5 pounds.
Yay. Next week it'll be more. I'm planning. Like I said, part of it is the experimenting and then knowing that, oh, flip a switch. Because I turned around Tuesday night and I went till had a lunch thing on Wednesday, but went from Wednesday to Thursday night again fasting. No problems, you know. It's just because scheduling requires me to go somewhere and eat or whatever. But that's where I'm at. But
you're also very aware of it. You know what's going on,
yes.
don't you? So you're able to plan in advance. Do you, in some of these situations, do you actually have to eat? If you're fasting, can you not just
actually,
drink
I
water?
experimented with that because I went to, you know, favorite breakfast restaurant with my son and I just had tea. And I was like, they didn't bat an eye. I, you know, didn't feel guilty for not spending more money or whatever. But yeah, so I know I can do it. It's just, you know, it's just
Doing
you know,
it.
expectations of people with me, you know. It's like I go out to dinner, my husband's like, why didn't you eat anything? Is that all you're getting? And it's like, yeah, that's all I want. So, but it takes practice to get it through. So
I was just about to say it takes practice and repetition and becoming more and more clear about what works for you and what you're wanting to achieve. So when you
yes.
know what you want to achieve and you know what you want to do, it's easier to do them.
Yes.
But
And
keep
just that
clapping and
mindset.
cheering yourself.
So, okay, thanks. There.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, I'm gonna go to Helen, as Eric says, ladies first.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. Sorry, I'm clicking the wrong buttons. Let me just start by saying, Rachel, you look lovely. It's so nice to see you again. Yeah, so my initial entry into WildFit was in the fall of 2021. And I released, all told, I released about 40, right? I inched back a little bit, but what is amazing about this particular journey, this one we've just been on for the past few weeks, is that it just keeps, this program for me keeps proving itself. When I think back, because I'm kind of a really nerdy girl, I love my spreadsheet. So I've got my measurements and my weight back to September of 2021. And I look at that and it proves to me I'm not smoking something. This is real. And what I know when I look back at that time is that my mind changed, my body changed, and my mind changed. And the choices that I make without thinking now are so much different. Do I always make the one that I know I should? No, hell no. But last night, my daughter came back from a semester in Italy. She's in Italy. What does she want? She wants my marinara sauce. That doesn't make any sense to me. But that's what she wanted. That's what we made. I made pasta for her, but I don't eat pasta anymore. I put mine over I put mine over greens. And honestly, I had a fantastic meal. It was wonderful. And the things that my territory, my turf, my mental landscape is just so radically different now. So for anybody who hasn't been in this with that kind of longevity, I just simply say, you know, take it seriously, because the changes it will make over time are just remarkable. I'm lucky. I didn't have underlying health conditions. I don't have metabolic things that I need to be really concerned about. But what, as much as anything for me, it's the psychology of it, that I know that my body and I, right? We are a team now. there was a moment there a few years ago when I did not feel, I felt like I was fighting it. And I don't feel that way anymore. I feel very integrated into my body, my health, and what I know to be right and good and worthwhile for me. And so that's my win, is just the fact that this has become for me my life. So it has given me life in a way that I just didn't really think was going to be part of this stage of my life. So I'm just so grateful for that whole thing.
I have no words. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ellen. Thank you so much.
All right, Caroline.
Hi, Caroline.
Oh, I thought, well, here's up next. I wanted to say this is like my third or fourth time through, if you count doing the post-diabetic last year, a year ago. And I'm having fun modifying it to go in and out of seasons the way I want. I love Hunter Spring. I only did that a year ago for the first time in post-diabetic. I didn't know it existed before then. And what I've discovered, I love Hunter Spring. My body loves it. I'm adding a little bit of microgreens because I've got a local source that is working. And what I found that in order to release the weight now that I wish to, I'm alternating Hunter Spring with a little bit of microgreens and fasting. And my question is, I did the 3-day fast the first time last summer, and what happened then and has happened now, I get to 2.5 days, and all of a sudden I start to feel a little, I'm fine with doing that, just drinking water, etc. I'm fine with that. And then I start to feel a little woozy and a little whatever. So I broke it, of course, with bone broth and gently. But I know there are people who fast for a lot longer than that, but some people have said if you do more than 3 days, you should be doing it under supervision or something. Again, I don't know that much about fasting, because the intermittent fasting, the business where you just don't eat for 16 hours, 2 or 3 days a week, that one I get, I understand that, but it never really produced the results for me that I wanted. So I'm open to suggestions and discussion about this.
Do you use minerals in your water when you're fasting?
I have real salt, which has the minerals in it. I don't really like the taste of it. Is there a way to,
if you're putting so much in that you can taste the salt, there's too much in there. It shouldn't, it shouldn't taste salty. It might change the flavor slightly if you're putting the minerals in, but
okay,
it shouldn't
so
be salty.
Okay.
It is important when generally in spring, but especially in Hunter Spring, to make sure that you've got minerals in the water. That might have a little bit to do with the wooziness and the dizziness.
Okay.
But you did exactly the right thing. Is that you listen to your body. It's like, not sure about this. And you
and
had some
just
bone broth,
started to gently come up. Plus, I have a very busy lifestyle, so I mean, I don't want to be out at some event and pass out or something. Not a good idea.
Absolutely. Fasting is fantastic for the body, but it's not meant as a punishment. So if you are feeling shocking, or if it's not working, or you can't, it's affecting your life, then come out of the fast. Absolutely.
And the other thing, there was this brand of trace minerals. I know I have it written down someplace that isn't salty when you use that.
That's what I use, trace minerals, and I can't taste it. I have to miscount completely.
Okay,
and it takes a lot before you can taste it.
The real salt, which has minerals in it, I use that on my food, but I didn't like it in the water. Okay, so I will have to get some of that trace mineral. So what you're saying is, when you're fasting and also Hunter Spring, it's good to have some of the trace minerals in your water.
Depending on the water that you're drinking, it's quite good habit to be in anyway.
I use a Brita water filter, and then I have this. I try to structure. I have this wand that's supposed to structure the water. Whether it does it or not, I don't know. Because structured water is actually the best for you, and people can, look it up. Because structured water is essentially the same as what water out of a natural spring coming out of the ground has a different coherence and structure. Amari, Masamoto, I'm trying the Japanese scientist who studied water, and he froze things when the water was coherent. It made beautiful snowflake images. When it was distressed, it was, you know, all over the place. So anyway, that's a whole nother
I have
thing.
no idea.
The quality of water you drink is a whole nother factor, and I haven't heard Eric talk very much about it, but it is a factor.
Another thing you can do with salt, if you're not wanting to splash out on the trace minerals, they are a little bit pricey, is to make some salt water. Have you heard of that?
I think Stu mentioned it on one of the calls where you.
So if you get a small jar and put normal, you know, whatever your water is to start with,
Yeah.
and put some salt in and shake it up while it dissolves, and you keep adding salt until it doesn't dissolve anymore. So you can't add any more salt to it.
So
and
just a
dissolve it.
small glass of this?
Just a small container, because you're not going to
Oh.
drink that. You
Okay,
just
it's
want to
like
make
a small
container of
glass
it.
container. Okay.
Small jar, yeah. And then when you've got your bottle of water, your glass water, you can put a little bit of that salt water into your glass bottle, whatever you're drinking the water at.
A
And that
little
way
bit is
it's-
like a half a teaspoon or less, or?
It depends how big your bowl or cup with bowl,
Oh,
if you're drinking from a bowl, your cup or bottle is.
Okay,
You need
but
to experiment with it. So I
Okay.
tend to always drink water out of the same glass or the same bottle. So with a bit of
yeah, well,
experimentation.
I have this big thing, which I
Yeah. So just if you're going for salt water, just experiment how many teaspoons you add to your bottle of water before you can taste it. When you reach the point that it's salty, that's too much.
Okay, but you're making
Don't
this.
drink the salt water.
No, right. You're making this concoction by totally overwhelming it until
Yeah.
till no salt, and then taking a little bit of
Yeah.
that and putting in your water. And
Yeah.
and so long as you're starting with like Himalayan salt or sea salt or
Yes.
this
Yeah.
real salt, which is supposed to be one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's another
I'll
way
try
of doing
that.
it.
Thank you. Thank you,
Great.
Rachel.
Thanks,
Good to see
Caroline.
you too. And this is one of my new glass pieces, just came out of the kiln.
I was wondering. Thanks,
2
Caroline.
weeks ago. Yeah.
So we are almost at time. So what I wanted to say to everybody is have an amazing week in summer. So if you're going into summer, really, really enjoy it. Really pay attention to the flavors, the textures, the colors on your plate. Pay attention to how your body reacts to the food, and listen out for the conversation starting, for that dialogue kicking up again. What's happening there? What foods are suddenly becoming appealing? Pay attention also to the foods that you've got no interest in. You might find at this point that you're like, I'm just not interested in bringing that back. Things might taste differently. You might like them, you might not, but really enjoy the week of summer. Don't feel guilty about it. Love the experience. If you're choosing to stay in spring, celebrate the choice to stay in spring, but also pay attention to your dialogue, because you might start to hear a little voice saying, oh, you know, you could go into summer now. You've been so good. You don't need to stay in spring now. So listen out to what voices start up now for you in this week of spring. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.